Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's Average Joe's Day and Phantom Day today here at Guilecast. Exciting stuff. It must have been, what, like a year or something? This is the last time we featured the Phantom mod here on the channel, and certainly when I used to play this glorious game back in the day when I had some time to myself, it was one of my all-time favourite mods, so always fun to bring one of these out of the woodwork. There is a tournament or something that I'm supposed to promote at the beginning of this cast, but as usual in typical Guile fashion, my house frankly isn't in anywhere near something resembling any order, so I don't actually have the details for that. I came back to the client last night after being away watching TV with the missus, and I was absolutely exhausted, and someone had been trying to talk to me about it. So apologies to whoever it is. I will find out the details, guys, and I will bring it to you in one of the several upcoming casts which I am determined to do this week. There, you heard it here first. Hopefully the tournament or whatever it is won't have started by then, but nothing's perfect in this life, is it? So as we said, it's going to be a Phantom mod game, and where else would a Phantom mod game take place other than Phantom Bunny Roanoke version 11, the quintessential Phantom map. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. So we'll do a little rundown in a sec of how Phantom mod works for those of you who are uninitiated with the mod and don't really know how it works. You can see we're not starting directly from the beginning. This is because of the nature of the mod. It takes rather a long time to get going. In fact, lots of people are starting the game with pre-built units and structures on in the settings. These guys didn't. They started from scratch, so I've accelerated the game time before the start just a little bit for everybody's convenience. Anyway, let's take a look at our players. Down here at the bottom in mellow yellow, we have Unorthodox Box. He's going Aeon. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what factory they've chosen first because several of the players already have multiple factories online. Next up, we have Lemming King, and he is going Cybrin in Regal Purple. Up here at the top left, or northwest, if you will, we have Jebba Sakani for Tsunubidoob. But we will be calling him Jeb for relative ease, and he is going UEF in Ferrari Red. At the top of the map, it's our resident pro for the day here, Funkoff. Of course, he was lying to everybody when he said he was going to return for Galactic War and nothing else. Here he is, trying his hand at a little bit of Phantom action, keeping it on the down low, nice and easy, and going his atypical UEF in Baby Blue. Over to the northeastern position, we have Latchstock, who is going Cybrin in Hallyborange Orange. And last but not least, down here at the bottom, we have Creed, who is going Seraphim in Elephantine Grey. So you can see a wide range of ratings there. Creed on -300 and Funkoff at 1800 as our resident pro. So pretty wide-ranging scales there. We've got 1400, a couple of just sub-pro level Joes there in Unorthodox Box and Lemming King, and then a couple of middle-of-the-road pros with Jeb and Latchstock elsewhere. So essentially, how does Phantom mod work? There are going to be a bunch of you people out there wondering who don't play FAF and maybe haven't seen the previous cast. Well, Phantom mod is a little bit different. You can see none of these guys fighting with each other at the start. That's because at the moment they are all teamed up. The diplomacy is fluid. You start on the same team and you can ally with whoever, you can break with whoever at any time. And then after about 6-7 minutes, something like that, of game time, everybody votes. There's a vote that comes out of how many Phantoms you want there to be in the game at any one time. And typically the average vote usually comes out at about 2 Phantoms. That's a very standard for a 6-player game of Phantom mod. What happens with these Phantoms? Well, they get a pretty substantial resource bonus, and it really is sizable. And their object is to kill everybody else, even any other Phantoms that are in the game. Everybody else has to work together to first identify who those Phantoms are, and when they've done that, they then need to team up and kill those phantoms. So there's different ways that people can play it. People can try and hide their resource advantage. Generally, that's not done so much at the mid to higher levels, or indeed generally these days. It used to be a tactic people would go through back in the day when seemingly those summers went on forever. Anybody could play SOPCON for 6 hours because they had nothing better to do with their lives, or maybe that was just me. You do have the option of a paladin, which is actually a innocent player, and they get somewhere between 25% to 65% of the resource bonus that's allocated to the Phantom. It depends on the settings that have gone down in the game, and they are on the innocent side. So essentially, it's all up in the air, but we can probably identify where we're at 17 minutes, so Phantom assignment will have happened. So these guys, the Phantoms, whoever they are, will already be getting their bonuses. And if we take a look at the top right, we can probably identify who the Phantom is already. So Lemming King way out in front on 428 mass. And I'm going to start slowing this down now, so you take a look over here. You've already got a lot of chatter going on between private conversations. This is what it's all about, people working out who it is just from looking at their builds and comparing them with their own, how much mass must have taken to build this stuff. And I think it's safe to say Lemming King there on 443 mass per tick is going to be one of the Phantoms. And I think the other Phantom, unsurprisingly, right below him will be Creed over here, who is on 297, nowhere near the 443, but that can be explained away by the fact that Creed is obviously a slightly more novice player. There you can see his global ranking at -300 compared to the 1400 there of Lemming King. If we take a look at some of the chatter that's been going on there, Funkov chatting in private there to Unorthodox Box. Everyone thinks that Lemming is Phantom, so he's been pretty much identified by Funkov, the most seasoned player, and it's not hard to see why. If you look at the amount of hives being spanned up next to the naval yards over here, that's a pretty naval heavy strat that's going on. Lots of T3 in play, and you compare it to, say, someone like Unorthodox Box, who just hasn't got much at all, and he's a 1400 rate player. Admittedly, he's plowed his resources over here into quantum gateways there, the portals, so that would have taken quite a lot to get going. He's going to try and get as many support commanders on as he can. Up here at the top left, you can see nowhere near the same level of development there from someone who is clearly not a Phantom there. Jeb has got a lot of naval yards online, but they're all T1 for the moment. That's a lot of T1 naval spam that he's got going. We do have some T3 naval units in play there from Funkov, a couple of Neptunes, those battle cruisers flowing out from the T3 naval HQ there at the back of his island. But you can really take a look and you compare that down to the Lemming King's base down here. That's a significant level of development over and above, and although Funkov hasn't played for a while, he's still 400 global ranking points ahead of Lemming King, so it really does give you some perspective on this side of things. So everyone's identified Lemming King, it would seem, as one of the Phantoms, and people are just kind of chatting amongst themselves about it, and that's quite interesting. So Creed and Lemming King talking about wanting to kill Yellow, so they're already chatting about taking on the player in between their two islands. So they're both identified each other as a Phantom, and you often get this, the two Phantoms working together against the rest of the Innocents, and then ultimately end up turning on each other in the late game because they can't win as a team. And do we have any conversation between Creed and anybody else is the question. Maybe, potentially. It's quite hard to see because there's an awful lot of conversation that's going on at the moment. But we've had a break already, so Lemming King kicks things off. And at 22 minutes, so you can really get an idea at what's going on. Funkov talking to Jed. Look, the Phants are moving to attack, so it looks like he's identified Creed as well. So a quick drop of a support commander onto that side island there from Lemming King, taking out the resourcing option down there from Unorthodox Box. He's also dropped off a SCU, That's going to allow him to build up there nice and quickly. Unorthodox box looking like he's going to respond with his destroyers there. He's got 5 destroyers, or sorry, 3 destroyers and a cruiser, the Infinity class cruiser in the area. Could use the Infinity class destroyer to impact on those gunships, but doesn't want to get them focused on him, otherwise it could end up losing the cruiser. Keeping that distance is a nice way to play it, and it looks like Lemming King is going to back up out of there. And in comes some ASFs there from Latchstock, and we'll take a very quick look at who has broke with who there. So you can see the 2 Phantoms allied, everybody else now hostile to, certainly to Lemming King. How do things look with Creed? Well, Creed still allied with everybody, so I'm not sure his secret is out as yet. People might have their suspicions about who the other Phantom is, but it has not been confirmed as of yet. 1 Galaxy class battleship out front, absorbing some of the damage from those destroyers, while the cruisers, the Sirens in the back, fire for effect from relative safety. Now that large T1 naval fleet we saw from Jeb has made its way southward, runs into a Harms and manages to take it out. Lemming King could have done with a couple more of those to help defend his island. He's already got 1 online back here in the middle of his naval yards and another one on the way. Funkoff has also headed south, and Lemming King is really getting stacked up on here and is going to need some help from the other Phantom if he's going to hold out. Creed already on the move with his own units. Has he broken? Yes, he has. You can see Unorthodox Box chatting about it in local chat, confirming that he is the other Phantom, and there goes the alliance with Latchstock. Funkoff has already broken. Just Jeb remains allied to Creed for the time being. I expect that to change very quickly. Jeb has his hands full at the moment, taking on Lemming King, but he's running out of T1 vessels. 2 Harms online in the Bay Area, has managed to dispatch 1 of the 3 Tech 3 naval yards. Unorthodox asking his allies for help as he gets sandwiched in now between Creed and Lemming King, although Lemming King looks like he might be turning around to engage the battle cruisers that have come south from Funkoff. Such a strange sequence of events, as is usual in Phantom mod. 22 minutes of nothing, followed by all-out carnage. Funkoff completes an experimental, and it looks like he's going for mass Atlantis spam. Reasonably efficient way, you would imagine, of combating galaxies. There's 4 of them online already, so Lemming King going mass battleship. I suppose it depends how well Lemming King can handle himself with ground fire. Battleship spam pretty effective against the experimental submarine en masse. If the player controlling them knows how to use ground fire effectively and is pretty good at predicting patterns of movement. Creed coming in now with some more T1 subs from the east. Unorthodox Box holding his own for the moment, but that might be about to change as Lemming King and Creed, to be fair as well, has seen off the last of Funk's vessels. I say seen off, has sunk that forward expeditionary force. This is another group that's headed south. And the only Seraphim on the map there with the sub-hunters, Creed, with a tangible advantage in naval play at this stage in the game. The question is, can he transfer his economic gains effectively into weapons that he can deploy out onto the field. So is such as a typical hurdle for a Joe in this game. It's all well and good ecoing, and it's all well and good building units, but doing them both effectively at the same time is the key to Sopcon success. Sirens bugging out there from Latchstock, heading home with a sub-hunter in pursuit. One of them going to go down, and as long as he continues to pursue, should manage to get the other one as well. So Lemming King, afforded a little bit of time to regroup, has managed to complete a megalith, which is going to head up over to the side island up here, which will give that little fortification. I say fortification, there's not an awful lot there. One tactical missile defense, one Cerberus turret, and one shield gen, but the megalith will give it a little more firepower if he plans to station it there. Certainly could do that with a couple of summits bearing down on that island. And still Unorthodox Box holding his own down here, but really doesn't have a great deal to work with down here. He's got a nice attack missile battery online at the bottom left-hand corner of his island there. Funkov saying that they can probably kill Creed. Lemming too strong for the moment, and it certainly looks like he's already on his way down to that portion of the map. One Atlantis and a whole host of shield boats and other assorted vessels as well. Some Coopers in there, a Neptune, a Summit, all heading that way. Latchstock working on some aircraft carriers there. One of them online, a couple of Galaxy-class battleships online. That's a lot of artillery fire that's heading in the other direction towards those battleships, so a nice Tech 2 artillery battery there from Lemming King that's reasonably well protected. Of course, Lemming King going Cybran has the added headache of having to upgrade those shields, which is causing some problems, but Unorthodox Box gets picked off there. I thought that was a support commander explosion going off in the background, but it wasn't. Very nice pickup there from, I'm guessing that's Creed, maybe? It could be either one of them, potentially, but I'm thinking it might have been the strap bombers in there from Creed. So a power vacuum opens up in between our two Phantoms for them to expand into in relative safety, albeit for the moment. We do have some Revenants now hovering over the top of Creed's portion of the map, and it looks like Creed could be facing 2v1 on his side of things against Funkov and Latchstock. And that time it was a support commander going up, and look at that, Summit's causing all sorts of problems for Lemming King. That lead one is getting beaten down now by those harms, and indeed the battleships that are stationed back here. So that's soon to go down, but we've already had one ion reactor go critical. You can see the wreck in the center of the island there for Lemming King. ASFs roll in there from Jeb, take care of the whalers, but it's not going to be enough to save that second Summit, which is also going to go down. There's another one slightly further back. That megalith we saw from earlier on 30 odd kills now has been unsuccessful in saving that side island. It was always a tall order, but has managed to dispatch everything on Jeb's side island. But we've got a bit of a 2v1 situation as we saw earlier brewing over here in the east. A wave of Storks out there from Funkov will take care of one of the two battleships out there for Creed. And we could be on course there to see our first Phantom ejection from this game. 31 minutes gone. It really does feel like this game's only just getting started, of course, because essentially the action only started from 22 minutes in with the build-up time. Definitely doesn't want to hover overhead with those ASFs. The command class aircraft carrier in the vicinity, absolutely brutal anti-air on board the aircraft carriers these days since their upgrade about a year or two ago. Strap bombers peppering Latchstock's vessels out front. Support commanders on the island for Creed trying to keep up with the incoming fire by building shield gens. Mostly everything is protected, but the shield gens up front aren't overlapped. Could be about to lose a T3 power generator on board. We take a quick look at the action up here, and would you look at the amount of battleships that Lemming King has online. That is disgusting. 14 Galaxy-class battleships bearing down now on Jeb's main base. Jeb has now a Fat Boy on that island and operational. It's moving towards the shoreline. That really could do with some assistance from Funk. It's tough when you're in this situation because you've got one of the Phantoms on the ropes and you deal with one of them only to lose one of your teammates to the other. The question is, would you rather have 2 Phantoms and 3 teammates including yourself, or 1 Phantom and two teammates including yourself? Well, I think probably the latter is favorable. However, you're trading Creed, the weaker Phantom, for Jeb. It's not like you're getting the best possible deal out of it. And I think this is going to be the end for Creed. He's got a lot of support commanders in play over there, trying to identify where his commander is. Well, it's right the way down here, and it looks like he might be trying to move over to Unorthodox Box's old base, and there goes another commander. I'm missing them all today. Up there at the top, Lemming King scalps Jeb at 34 minutes and 35 seconds or thereabouts, and now Funk can find himself in a pretty pickle as that huge navy is now free to roll on towards his island. And they haven't as yet managed to kill off the commander. Maybe I spoke too soon. In comes a huge quantity of Storks from Funkhoff, who manages to kill off Creed, and there goes the confirmation that one of the 2 Phantoms has been eliminated. So it is now Funkhoff versus Latchstock. A lot of forces down here, though, which are able to just roll on west and engage Lemming King's island from an area which he hasn't had to defend really, well, not for about the last 10 minutes or so from Funkhoff's initial attack. So defensively speaking, relatively light down here. We do have 1 harms in operation down here. Pretty sure Funkhoff can deal with that, but Lemming King is going to have to send some forces this way to protect that edge of his island. But the real story of interest coming this way as we hear another support commander go pop in the background there. 3 Atlantis versus a whole horde of battleships. 14 of them still. And we can see the ground fire in operation there. How good is Lemming King? Well, it looks like he's got the methodology down. One of the Atlantis about to go pop. There it goes. One of the battleships goes with it, but that's an even trade that Lemming King will be happy to make. There goes another Atlantis, and just one remains, and that's not going to fare much better than the other two. Funkov exclaiming his displeasure about the simple but effective tactic of battleship spamming. Why on earth not, I say. Funkov's beautiful UEF base soon to be under pressure. He's got a few mass fabs in there trying to make up for his lack of map control, which of course is always tough on Roanoke's Abyss. But a Soul Ripper now online for Lemming King. Put that together pretty quickly, and it's using that to good effect down here. Going to go after the governors initially. They're going to be putting out the most anti-aircraft firepower. Then they can go to work on the battle cruisers, and they didn't last too long at all. Funkov already saying GG out in local chat. I think it's a little bit early for that. Lemming King focusing on the exterior units around the island before going after the base structure itself. It's always a tough one. You think, I'm in range, I want to open up on the base, but you've got to eliminate the threat as much as possible first before you go to work on those base structures. 3 more battleships coming in from the southwest. Latchstock bringing in his own naval forces to assist. Oh, chain reaction. Well, Funkov with huge power reserves. Hasn't done any major damage as yet. Has killed off his one and only Quantum Gateway. So no more support commanders for the moment from Funkov. Funkov in the area with his comm. Took a couple of nicks there from the battleship, those Galaxy-class battleships, of course, with onboard torpedoes. But that lead battleship about to go down. There it goes. Funkov asking Latchstock to spam battleships as well. Is that a second Soul Ripper? I don't know, but things certainly looking pretty good right now for Lemming King. It is a second Soul Ripper, so there it goes. 2 Soul Rippers on board, and relative air dominance as well from Lemming King, who's got 65 ASFs in the sky, who, in fighting for the skies, will be relatively uncontested. Broadswords causing no end of problems, though, for those galaxies up around Funkov's base. So Funkov not out of it just yet. Megalith crawls up onto the land, and would you look at the devastation at the western edge now of that island. Funkov still with positive power. Another galaxy goes down, and Lemming King might run out of vessels soon. He has got the experimental on the ground, though. That's now rolling into that huge bank of Tech 1 point defense. Wants to get in range and chain this next section of power generators. But I don't think he's going to get there in time. He's only got a few hundred hit points left, and there it goes. Funkov manages to hold on to that last section of power generators. Recriminations going off in the innocent camp. That Soul Ripper diverted over towards Lackstock, who's going to lose his T3 P-Gens. Wants to move his commander away from them, though, as they're going to go critical and take the commander with him. Explosion takes him down deep into the red. 2,000 hit points remain. Quick flyby from the ASFs. Not enough to pull the anti-aircraft fire off the Soul Rippers. In fact, both of the Soul Rippers diverted over to Latchstock's island and have gone down. Funkov telling Lemming to focus on him. His teammates not as strong. Well, swings and roundabouts. Gets rid of Latchstock. He's only got one other player to worry about, even if it is the stronger player. And Funkov operating in a much diminished capacity from where he was just 15 minutes ago. Bricks coming in around the edge of the island, not emerging onto the mainland, I'm guessing for fear of those broadswords which are hanging on the beach with their cocktails. Latchstock, to his credit, had expanded down here into Creed's old base, and these are all Tech 3 mass extractors, which is probably why he's way up in the 550s. That might actually be down to the Soul Rippers, which he's probably reclaiming as we speak. But look at the mass totals. 1.3 million mass harvested by Lemming King. Compare that to the 632 from Funk and the 598 going 600 there from Latchstock. Four galaxies dispatched to that edge of the map to deal with those mass extractors. We do have a strategic missile submarine in operation over here. But at this rate, I'm slightly skeptical. Latchstock is going to be around long enough in the game to use any nukes that will materialize from that sub. Another wave of bricks rolling in towards Funkov's island, and those bricks we saw earlier do emerge out onto the beach, but they're going to get annihilated by those broadswords and the odd Neptune that's hanging about around the back of that island there. And another couple of Soul Rippers operational for Lemming King, heading north with great purpose and gusto, this time on towards Funkov's base. Getting a little bit of stutter here. I really do need to clean up my computer. So bogged down with stuff, it's unreal. Outrageous numbers of replays sitting in my downloads box. See, just zooming in there, the absolute killer. People understand, which is why I haven't migrated over to 60 FPS on YouTube videos as yet. There is a valid reason for it. One of the Soul Rippers goes down there. There are so many flayers in operation up here that the Soul Rippers just can't penetrate, but one of them does manage to chain 3 of those power plants at the top right of Funkov's base. And that still hasn't bottlenecked him on power, but I think that's because he just hasn't got much left to produce anything with. So he's not using any power, but in come a wave of strap bombers going in after the remaining power plants there for Latchstock. Latchstock's comm sitting slightly further to the north, but is now taking fire as well. Chunks flying off him. He's down into the yellow, 9,000 hit points remaining. Lots of support commanders going pop over at Funkov's base. Determined not to miss another comm going up though, and this time Latchstock is going to go the way of the dodo, and that is thanks to the megalith that strolls on shore at the other side of his island, and then there were two, and Funkoff facing insurmountable odds now, producing just 64 mass per tick against 590. This looks like it's going to be a phantom victory for certain. Funkoff in jest saying he's going to have to kill Lemming all by himself now. Well, that would certainly be a impressive piece of gaming right there. I don't think it's on the cards, quite frankly, and I'm sure it was meant in jest. Where is Funkoff's commander? Well, he's sitting off to the edge of his island, and he throws out the surrender. So Lemming King emerges victorious at 46 minutes, almost at the cusp of 47, in quite a surprising Phantom game there. Always fun to change it up. Guys, if you have a good Phantom game, I am not beyond casting them. Do feel free to send them in, and if the action kicks off nice and early, then all the better. People have been asking me, incidentally, about the scoreboard up at the top right, guys. It's the I forget exactly, it's Supreme Scoreboard version 1.1, and if you want to find that, that'll be available in the mod vault on the FAF client, so that's where you can get a hold of that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined, you can support me on Patreon, but in the meantime, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.